the amount of management time spent just managing all of that and collecting all of those invoices and getting it all together and presenting it to the homeowners or clients in a way that is not just like a shoebox. Let's just do this. What's going on there, Toddster?
How you doing,
Good day.
Joe?
I'm doing good.
It's a good day?
How you
Why is
been?
it a good day?
It's good. It's always a good day.
All right, look.
You're
Look
you're
at
this side of the dirt. You should be happy.
Any day above ground? All right.
That's
All
right. That's right.
Sweet.
Sun is shining, as far as I can tell. And you got some sun in the background, it looks like.
Nope.
So, no?
Nope.
Overcast?
That's just my can light right there. It's reflecting off of something because it is not sunny today. It was a wintry mix today on April 9th.
How's your week?
Mix. Good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, couple just few small projects we had lined up this week that all kind of went well.
Okay, that's good.
And I signed a contract yesterday for a good sized project in South Barrington that I was pitted up against two other contractors for, and we were all the three of us were within $5,000 of each other. Which is
the homeowners
incredible.
told you this?
Yeah. She said they got four total, and the fourth one was 30 grand lower than everybody. Yeah. And I was like, that's crazy. Did they leave a whole bunch of stuff out? And she's like, they were just vague. And I was like, yeah. Okay.
Was it just a text message? 30,000.
Right. Yeah. We're gonna gut your kitchen and laundry room, $34,000.
Yeah.
Plus or minus. But
sign here, please.
Right. Yeah. Put a plus or minus in there.
Did you know that you were up against four?
I did not. I actually found that out from a referral. They had asked for, actually didn't even ask originally. I offered referrals, and I always do. And then just said, I'm happy to provide you with referrals if you want. In the meantime, here's my house profile. Here's my website, whatever. And they did want referrals. I gave them 4 referrals, and they called all 4 of them.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
They're doing clients, their due diligence.
Yeah. And they had a bunch of questions, I guess. 2 of them were clients. But one of them was an interior designer I work with, and the other one was an architect that I work with. Called all 4 of them.
Wow.
And the architect told me that. He said that they called, they had a lot of questions, a lot of good questions. And for whatever reason, they decided to tell him that they had gotten 4 quotes, and 3 of us were within $5 grand of each other, and the 4th one was $30,000 cheaper. It's like, okay. Yeah. Apparently they were only looking at the laundry room or something. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. Wow. Well, congrats.
Yeah, thanks. There was a lot of just back and forth and waiting and whatnot. And so ultimately they just said referrals were fantastic, and they loved the work that I had that they saw online, and they just felt very comfortable with me. I answered questions very well. Yeah. So it's a good project. So I was, looking forward to getting that one. So pretty awesome. Excited about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yay.
How about you? What's going on out there?
Yeah, slow week. One set of our clients are out of town on vacation this week, so things are a little bit quiet on that project. And we did finalize design on another project, so we are moving into the selections part. And so that's always a fun time to go pick out all the tile and all the things. So yeah, we are moving forward with that. We had 4 different designs, and they chose number 4 and moving forward. So yeah, good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good deal.
It is, because it's always scary when you're going into the design with like 3 or 4 different layouts. And this was just like a schematic conceptual at this point. But you're going in there thinking, okay, well, usually what ends up happening is you have to go through many revisions of the conceptuals to get to exactly what they want. So a lot of times you're having a few of these meetings and it's just dragging on and on and on. And they're like, you're tweaking here and tweaking this and move the mirror over here? Or what if we want to put a closet over there? What does that look like, right? So you just don't know how that's all going to play out with them. But it was pretty cool to go in there, this particular project, and them walking out of there with like, no, we love number 4, like as is, perfect. Let's just do that. And you're like, sweet. Yeah. Like I nailed it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was cool.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
So
Very cool.
right. So yeah. So that was my highlight of this week, other than this podcast and seeing your bald head, of course.
Well, nice and shiny today. Yeah.
Mine too.
That cam light's not doing me any favors, is it?
Yep. Full of mine either. Yep. All right. Well, here we go again. Another week of this renovation situation podcast where we pull back the layers of this complex remodeling industry. Joe, grab your beverage and let's get to it. What are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about different, I guess, price structures, you could call them, or how you want to price your project. The biggest 3 being fixed costs versus time and materials versus cost plus. Those are the big 3 that I'm familiar with, at least. If there's something else, enlighten me.
No, those are pretty much the main ones. Fixed cost, time and material, and cost plus. All right. Well, first off, which one do you do?
I am 90% of the time I'm doing fixed costs.
Okay.
I prefer fixed cost for a number of reasons. I feel like if you have detailed plans and detailed scope of work and you've put the time in and you know what you're doing and your subs know what they're doing, you should be able to generate pretty darn accurate pricing in order to get that project accomplished. So I feel like upfront, if you spend the time knowing those numbers, putting all that together, then your client knows what they're spending and they can budget other things accordingly. So that's certainly my preference. I will say that boilerplate, I like to include that even if I'm giving them a fixed cost price, I do like to include a line in there that just has a above and beyond T&M costs, because inevitably most larger projects, something might come up that was unexpected. They might want to change something, or you get the classic like, hey, while you're here, can you do this? So happy to do those things, but those I don't want to sit down and generate another price for. We're already working. You want us to do this additional work. It's going to be X number of dollars per hour plus cost of materials. So I do like
you
to
have that written in your contract like that?
I do. Okay. I have that as an either or, where there's like, we will either generate an additional estimate for you or it'll be a time and materials. And like usually when it's something, right. And normally when it's something small, I just like to do time and materials. I don't want to spend the time writing up an estimate. And you're probably, if you're happy with our work already, you're probably not going to go price shopping unless you feel like I'm just outrageous and gouging you for some reason.
I know this is going to be difficult, but maybe we should just kind of try to define the 3 really quick right off the bat.
Sure.
You want to take fixed costs since that's what you do?
Sure.
I mean, I do. By the way, I do fixed pricing as well. So, but
okay,
go ahead.
So we have no idea about the other 2. We're just going to talk about fixed costs for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Fixed cost is essentially when you're giving someone an agreement or a proposal or a contract, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it an agreement. All of the work that you're providing is outlined in your agreement, and at the bottom of that, you're seeing a total amount. That's the short and sweet of it. I don't want to itemize all of that. Right. This is your cost. I don't want to itemize it. These are all the inclusions. These are the exclusions. This is all the labor that's in there. I do not want to go through, and some people will ask, I do not like to itemize that and say our plumber is charging X number of dollars. Our HVAC contractor is charging X number of dollars. I am not itemizing. I'm not going to do that.
But fixed price to you is one and done. This is what it is. Here's the exclusions. Here's what's included. Period.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. I'll take the cost plus. So I don't do cost plus. So if those out there that do, and you have a better description or definition, please provide in the comments. But cost plus to me would be, I probably have provided a ballpark on what I think it's going to cost or how long it's going to take. But in the end, it's all based off of how much it's going to cost plus my markup. So I'm going to provide an invoice. I imagine they're providing invoices to prove what the costs are. So they have to keep track of all this, right? If you're doing cost plus. And then I'm adding some markup to everything at the end of the day, which is whatever we discussed, we agreed upon. And then whatever it turns out to be at the end of the day, that's just whatever it turns out to be. And I think that's cost plus. So cost plus my markup. And we determine that in the agreement.
Right. I have the same understanding.
All right. What's time and material?
Time and material is just that. This is how much we charge per hour to do labor, and then the cost of the materials. Now, whether or not you're going to try to include marking those materials up, or you're just providing those materials at your cost and then saying, just pay us for our time. We'll provide all the materials at our pricing and extend that pricing to you. That's, depending on how you want to approach that, I suppose.
Yeah, that's
like
interesting.
I like that for small stuff and small add-ons, but
yeah,
that's about it.
Time and material, you can do it quite a few different ways. You brought up interesting point of like if you wanted to add your markup or not on top of the time and material, but if you're off, how I've seen it in the past is if you're doing time and material, you're providing them ahead of time in the contract what the hourly rate is. Usually that hourly rate already has the markup in it. So you would then in your contract, you could then say time and material, and then it's like plus the whatever markup it is on the material. So it'd be we're doing X dollars per hour per man plus the material, and then here's our markup for the material. I guess, okay. Or you could work it the other way and just say, here's my time, material, and then here's our markup on it all also. And then you mark up everything. But I've never seen that before. I've always seen like the time part that's spelled out always has the markup built into the time of your employees, which makes sense because then it's just easier for everyone. Sure. I think.
Yeah.
I agree. That's how that's going.
Yeah.
Very somewhat similar to cost plus.
Yeah, it's similar. I've never done a cost plus contract, and I've entertained it before. And I think, like, to me, that's one of those things that sounds great in theory, where it's like, yeah, that seems fair. This is how much your countertops are going to cost. I'm going to put my markup on it, and they get installed, and I managed that for you. I scheduled it for you. I made sure everything went smoothly and answered all those questions up front to make sure it was done properly, and all works out well, right? Or does it?
Right. But now you have to keep track of everything. No, I mean, you're keeping track of everything anyway, but now you have to keep track of everything because you have to, at any given point, provide this to the homeowners. So that means for the countertop example you provided, that would mean if I was the homeowner, I would not only want to see the invoice for the countertop, but then I would want to see some documentation of your hours that you've put into countertop. And you would have to keep track of all that. And for all your employees. And yeah, of course, they have time tracking apps and stuff to do all this. But, in a fixed price scenario, we're keeping track of all those hours, but for internal purposes, for analysis and
job costing
analytics
for future projects
us and job costing exactly. So we can determine, how we're doing over a course of a long period of time, but it's not all that information isn't provided to the homeowner on a fixed cost, but on a fixed price, but on a cost plus, I would imagine that all of that is open and transparent. And I don't think that's a good thing. I can't, the amount of management time spent just managing all of that and collecting all of those invoices and getting it all together and presenting it to the homeowners or clients in a way that is not just like a shoebox, So that takes time. And how is that getting? Is that just part of the markup? Or are you putting an hourly like thing on it? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
As
I
you
would
can
think it would
tell,
just be part
neither
of
one
your
of us do
markup.
cost plus.
Right. But I just feel like it opens the door to a lot of questions and a lot of just being skeptical of what those charges are, So
Well, not
first off, you have, and I'm not saying
100%.
I would do this, but you have no incentive to find
None
a
whatsoever.
better price if you're just
Correct.
operating off of this is how much they're going to charge and I put my markup on that. You're almost going to want the higher price as opposed to the lower price.
So
right?
unethical, right? So like
Yeah.
you're hiring me to build you whatever, a house or a remodel project.
I'm not
And
price shopping.
right. But why would I hype? My markup is now based off of it's a percentage. So if my markup is a percentage, then I only make more money if the cost is a bigger dollar amount.
Correct.
So why would I go and shop around and try to get the lowest cost?
Correct.
For you, right? Because if I get the most expensive subcontractor, then I make more money off of him than I would if I hired the cheaper one. Now, it's not only price, right? Like we got to talk about quality and all those things, right?
Of course.
I'd never hire the cheapest subcontractor anyway, but that's here nor there. There's too many variables, but you see where I'm going with this. It just seems like there's too much room for being unethical, in my opinion, on all of that. Homeowner doesn't know what contractor you were planning on using or hiring or whatever, and then you end up going.
Yeah, and even if you are ethical, it could still raise questions on their end. If they had, for whatever reason, if they had some hint that you were trying to pull one over on them and then they're uneasy about it, then it turns in halfway through that project. Well, we got a price from this company and they're only going to charge this much. How are you this expensive? That you get into that whole kind of thing, right? Where it's just like, it just seems like there's so many opportunity for problems in that scenario throughout the project. That upfront fixed cost is, I do this professionally. I know what I'm doing. I know my subcontractors. This is how much it costs.
Then the homeowners could budget for it, right? Like they know what's coming, because that cost plus. I don't know. Have you ever been through a remodel project? Is it ever cheaper? Is anything ever cheaper? Did it take shorter time? Like, did it get done before like it was planned? Probably not. And so that means on a fixed cost, well, we're eating it. But on a cost plus, time costs a lot of money. Well, you're paying for it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wrap my brain around it. It's a little scary.
And I don't think it's a
easier
very common.
It's very common. Most contractors
you think it
I
is?
know do cost plus.
No way, you're kidding.
Yep. Most I know
is this
all do
out
cost
there
plus.
or even when you were here? Because I don't think I know anyone that does cost plus here.
It's out here. I know one that done it for a long period of time and then went back to fixed and then went back to cost. He just keeps bouncing around, and you know him as well. But here, most people I know do cost plus here. And I think I'm going to get myself in trouble here because I can't keep my mouth shut about this stuff. I think it's laziness. Why would I want to go through a whole fixed price scenario where I'm the one taking all the responsibility on a fixed price? I'm the one that's putting my neck out on the line saying, I think we can get it done in this time on this price. And it is what it is, sign here. And that's it. I have to provide you with what's documented in that contract. And all the upfront, right? The design and everything going through design stages. I'm sure cost plus people, contractors, they do the same thing, especially the good ones. And there's many good out there. I'm not saying cost plus means that your contractor is bad. Not saying that at all. I'm just, I'm a little uncomfortable about it because I would like my homeowners to know what to expect. It's managing expectation, especially with pricing. And if it's just open season and it just go through the roof. So why I said it's laziness is because I don't have to take the responsibility, so I don't have to worry about that. And B, I don't necessarily have to be that accurate or perfect. I mean, hopefully if I'm inaccurate in predicting what it's going to be so I can get you to sign my contract, then hopefully I'll go out of business later and it'll work its way out, right? But how many bad contractors do you know that are still out there? Like they're just like the bad penny. They don't go away. They just keep flooding the market because every painter is now a general contractor, right? It's just like it's incredible. So I don't know, like the fixed cost, fixed price just makes more sense to me. We can, like you said, I'm a professional, done this many years. Let's take our time. Let's figure out exactly what we're building. Let's put a price on it because, I've done this. I know what this is going to cost.
Yeah.
Right. And even if you're doing T&M, it's like, I don't have to worry about it. I don't care. Like, here's my price. Here's my hourly rate. And take it or leave it. And then it's an incentive for me to make that project go longer and cost more.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I agree. So now
because you've passed the responsibility. I know, but you've passed the responsibility or the risk onto the homeowner.
Yeah. And I
don't know.
I mean, I would say that, and that's why I said originally, like in theory, it sounds good. This is what that sub is charging. This is what that product costs. This is, all the X's and O's. And this is how much you're paying me just to manage the project and make sure all this goes smoothly and ask all the upfront questions and get all the details and all that kind of stuff. Hypothetically, sounds good. But there's so much involved in that. There's so many questions.
So much.
It just,
I know.
Yeah, like, no, thank you. So now that we've bashed the hell out of that and we know we're not going that route, why do we not do the classic just hourly time and materials on every project? Because some people think that's the fairest way to do it, is you're paying me for my time hourly and this is how much materials cost. Some people think that that's just the fairest way to do it. Why do we not operate in that fashion? I mean, I know the answer, but I'm curious.
Please provide me with what the answer.
Well, because you're paying for someone's knowledge. You're not paying for their time. You're paying for their knowledge. You're paying for their expertise. We did a basement maybe 2 years back now. And I'm not very familiar with like wells and septic because I just, city kid born and raised city water and sewer, So septic and well to me is a very different thing. We were doing a house that was, not far out suburbs, but it was all septic and well. And we had done the kitchen, powder room, laundry room. And when we were shutting valves down, shutting all this water down, and then when we were turning everything back on, there was like a water hammer effect that we could not get rid of. And I'm like, what the heck? All these valves are on. And I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know how to alleviate this. Well, called my plumber and he's like, yeah, I'll stop by. I kid you not. He walked into the mechanical room, looked at I couldn't even tell you how many copper water lines running all over the place into different manifolds, into this, that, the other, so many shutoff valves, expansion tank, you name it. And he just looks at one valve and it was open 90 degrees completely. And he just goes and turned it so it was open like 70 degrees instead. And he goes, okay, like now let's try it. And went up and it was gone. And I was like, what the heck? Like, are you kidding me? You just knew what valve to turn and what degree to turn it at. And that just eliminates this whole problem. And he's like, well, it's a gravity system and blah, 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 blah.
In 10 minutes, he figured it out and you were happy to pay the over exuberant time and material cost on that one because
absolutely
you're paying for his knowledge, right? Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yes. That's what you're paying
for. Good example.
right?
Good
That's
example.
what we do. By contrast, you want another example? Real quick. I just did a powder
Sure.
room. Actually, we did a whole bath remodel, but they added on the powder room. So we did that time and materials, just doing a wainscoting and swapping out a
Okay.
light fixture. And then they said they wanted to change the light fixture to a dimmer. I said, sure. So I said, it's not going to take more than an hour, but I have to charge you for an hour's time. That's just our minimum. Even if we're there doing something else, I don't care. I'm charging you for an hour. So they never got back to me on it. And I walked in the house for something else, and they said, "Oh, the dimmer switch for the powder room." And I said, "Oh," I said, "I'm sorry. Did you want us to do that? I didn't pick one up. I didn't think I got a response." And they said, "No, no, no, we're going to do it." And I said, "Oh, okay." Well, now they wanted to spend 15 minutes asking me how to do it.
How to do it.
What kind of switch do we get? What wires get connected to what? I noticed before that when you guys did this dimmer switch in the hall bath that the green wire wasn't connected. How come the green wire doesn't get connected? If you're going to do it yourself, go get an electrical book, start watching a bunch of YouTube videos, do whatever it is you need to do, but do it yourself. Otherwise, pay me for the hour's time because
Right.
that's what you're paying for. My knowledge,
Uh-huh.
my expertise, not the fact that it only takes me 12 minutes to do it, the fact that I know how to do it and I know how to do it properly. That's what
Right.
you're paying me.
Well, before you get chewed up on the green wire wasn't connected, you gotta remember that most of the world is not running conduit in their houses. They're running Romex.
I fully
So,
understand.
so boys and girls out
fully
there,
understand.
he doesn't have to connect the green wire because the boxes are all metal and the conduit is all metal. And
Correct.
we're not running, him out there in Illinois, in Chicagoland, you're not running a dedicated ground wire
Ground.
everywhere. So it's the box and the conduit and everything that's all grounded. So when you go and connect your outlets and switches and stuff to the box with the screw, that's what's grounding the outlets and the switches. So, however, best practice would be to take that green wire and screw it to the back of the box.
Yes. You can have a grounding screw and do that as well. Yes.
Yep. Yeah. But that's like belt and suspenders. But yeah, the screw that's going and connecting it to the box is what's going to ground those. We don't have that out here, Todd. All of our stupid boxes are plastic. Yeah, when I remodeled my own bathroom upstairs, I did everything in metal, but it's weird. It's like all the Romex stuff is weird out here. Yeah.
Yeah.
When in Rome, I guess.
Yeah. Sure. Easier to run, cost effective, I guess. Right?
Yeah. So yeah. Time and material. Yeah. Don't you feel as though it's the inexperienced contractors that are running time and material usually? Yes. Right? It's almost like, well, I have more time than money mentality, right? Well, I have more time than knowledge, so I'll just charge you for my time.
Yeah.
Not necessarily bad, I guess.
No.
And I also know
if you're starting out, that's not necessarily bad. You're just trying to cover your ass like
time and
anything
material
else.
Again is not bad. Nothing is bad. In my opinion, and as long as both parties are happy, then it's not bad. But
that's fair.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's,
I
think you said it best. It's the younger guys that are starting out that they do have more time than experience or whatever it was, more time than money, whatever, however you phrase that. But that's what it is.
More time than knowledge.
More time than knowledge. They're not exactly sure how to price something. And they don't know, because of their lack of experience, how long it might take them. So they just want to get paid for their time, while they're getting a little more experience. If you're starting out, that's certainly not a bad route, not a bad thing.
That's true. And also, I know a lot of homeowners out there, they think that that's a way for them not to be cheated because they're paying for only the hours that they're working.
Right.
And they don't feel like, oh, well, whatever contract this is, there's a bunch of fluff in there and I'm paying for X, Y, and Z or whatever, because you fluffed it enough to where you're making all this money and you know it's only going to take you an hour. You've put more in there just in case, and now I have to pay for that. So the homeowners are thinking, well, I'll just pay time and material. And then the question, I love this one, is when do you pay for their time? If it's a time and material, like this is ridiculous, but this is why I don't do time and material. Do time and material. I've already done hours worth of work before I walked into your home, but you think that the clock starts when I walked into your home.
Yeah.
So like your plumber shows up, he tweaks something for 10 minutes, he walks out. Are you going to only pay him for 10 minutes?
Right.
Yeah.
Of course not.
In the homeowner's eyes, though, that's it. That's the client's like, well, you're only here for 10 minutes. I'm going to pay you for 10 minutes. So
sure. You just teleported to their house, right? You didn't drive there.
It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like on very small handyman things that could work pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And I said, that's why I put it in the contract for a project we're already working on. So if we're already there, then it's just extra hours, then pay my hourly rate. Otherwise, 9 out of 10 times, I'm not interested in just doing hourly work. The contrast of that is so you said we're talking about well, it's not even so much the contrast of that, I guess, but that, for instance, that plumber that did take 10 minutes to do that, if he wants to get paid for an hour, he might be just go sit on a 5-gallon bucket in the back of the truck for 20 minutes and pretend like he's getting tools, or just get a pipe wrench and bang on a couple of pipes so you think he's doing something down there. Like, guys will kill time. They'll do the dog however they can so they can make a couple extra bucks, So
and I don't want anybody to have to do that in my job site. Like your time in life is something that is the most precious. I don't want anyone feeling like they have to go and dog some hours just because God, that aggravates me so much. Yeah.
But that's the answer to the people who want to like monitor your time, right? Well, I'll pay you hourly.
Yeah.
And then you were at lunch for 20 minutes and you did, am I paying you for that? And I'm paying, like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know.
No, thank you. Just
yep.
Don't go that route. Don't deal with all those questions. No.
Yeah. No. How many bosses you had that were like that? I'm like, oh my God. Okay. All right. I'll just start my own business so I don't have to deal with you weirdos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we do fixed costs, and there's nothing really time and material. Everything's going to be a change order, but we're generally doing bigger things. So if there's something small, like, hey, can you just take this switch out and put a dimmer in? I'm probably just going to do it. Part of, it's wrapped into, I'm already there kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's when we get to a little bigger stuff, or you're taking advantage of me being there, then that's when I'm going to just start change ordering. Mm-hmm. Every change. And then the cool thing is that helps litigate some changes. However, the bad thing is the whole nickel and diming. I don't like that feeling, I don't like. Right.
No.
But
that's hard
change
to
order takes time
sometimes.
Yeah. Change orders take time. So that means I need to estimate that. I need to write the change order up. I need to give it to you. You need to sign it. And then we need to get payment for that. And then we can do the change order. And by then, days have gone by. And if it's a change order that is going to stop production or something, then we've messed everything up. So sometimes in that instance, the time and material quick and like, yes, just pay this time and we'll figure out what it's going to cost later when don't know how long it's going to take or what's behind that wall, or I don't know what's going to happen when I rip up this floor, then I can see those arguments for sure. So not saying that time and material doesn't have its place. In my opinion, cost plus doesn't have its place. I don't really see ever using cost plus.
Yeah, but I would have to agree.
But time and material on like I'm already there, like how you're using it, Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And it's especially because I have a couple full-time guys, so it's very easy for them to be nice and just say, oh, yeah, if I'm not there, they're younger, they're a little more impressionable and stuff. So you're going to have a homeowner say, hey, can you do this? They might just, yeah, okay, yeah, we could do that, and not even think to tell me or not. So I've told them that if someone asks you to do something, just say call Todd, or just say I'll call Todd, whatever it is. Yeah, don't just do something, because people will, not even that they have the intention of taking advantage, but they might. But nonetheless, if you're paying those guys and paying the workers' comp and everything else, like, that adds up. So if they're doing, even if it's small, if it's something extra they're doing, I want them getting paid for it. Otherwise it's coming out of my pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. You got anything else to add to time and material, fixed pricing, or cost?
No, I don't think so.
All right. I think we touched on all of it. If anyone has anything to add, please add it. Otherwise, cheers.
Cheers.
Until next time.